Morning everyone, it's just coming up to 6:15 here on Bondi Beach in Australia, and I'm heading back to Ireland today after almost 3 weeks here in this fabulous country. And it's been a different sort of a family holiday, as I'm here with my mum, my brother, my aunt and my cousin, and the five of us are out here to see other respective cousins, and also we've had different friends, we've gone different places. So I popped down to Melbourne as well to see two girls that I lived with 18 years ago, where we've caught up at various stages over the years. And I wanted to record this video because I, over the past while, have been reflecting on some of my life lessons that I wanted to share with you all during this sunrise here in Australia. So the first one is that sense of gratitude that I have to be able to do this, but also that work-life balance for me means combination. It doesn't mean separation. And while I've been out here, I have been sometimes taking myself off when others were going out to dinner, or when I was listening to people snoring in the rooms beside me, and I wasn't able to do that because I needed to take care of things at home. And I suppose really want to say that work-life balance really means different things to different people. In my case, it means being able to be out here but not switching off. I haven't switched off completely. Every day I have made sure, all right, that I've had lots of time to focus on being out here, being present, being real, taking the time to spend with the people that matter to me, but also making sure that the team at home had what they needed to have. The clients who are in different time zones around the world have what they need as well. And I can't apologise for that to either party. And you might be wondering, well, why am I even saying that? Because I think we think that you either need to be on or off and not combining both. The reason I'm out here is because of the work that we do, and because of the responsibility that we take for the people that trust us to deliver upon that. And so therefore, in some cases, if that means that I have to say at 7 o'clock, like I did a couple of evenings last week when I was here with said family, is that I had to say, okay, I have to go now, and I have to go downstairs and I have to go on Zoom, and sometimes until very early hours of the morning, and I couldn't get up and participate in other things that other people were doing. That's okay, because then there was other times when I could totally be here and totally be present, and I have the chance to be here and recording this video for you this morning. So yes, there were times when I thought, oh God, I should be better at X or Y, I should be better at switching off, or I should be more switched on. Is there really any such thing as being best at everything? But maybe just being good enough to be able to do enough for your own balance is enough. The second thing that I want to say is that I was in Melbourne earlier on this week, and I caught up with my husband's his goddaughter and my husband's cousin's son, and I caught up with my own girls as well, my own friends. And to be honest, there's loads of Melbourne that I haven't seen, and I've been there a couple of times now to see various different people. For me, it's all about the people. There will always be a time to come back, hopefully, and see different places. I was here in Bondi Beach years and years ago when I came out here, as I came out for a month after I lived with those girls in Melbourne, and I'm looking around trying to remember what I remember. But you know what? For me, it's all about the people. And I think, again, that is what it comes down to. If sometimes you don't get a chance to go a certain place or to do a certain thing, at the end of the day, probably all that will be what will matter is the experiences that you've had with people along the way. Number 3, I just wanted to think about the key skill that I worked on throughout the business over the past year, and how that has helped me in different areas of my life. And I will say that the one area that I've worked on a lot is my decision making. And I think the reason that has happened is it just seemed to be the right time. The right books appeared in front of me. I heard lots and lots of people talk about it in different podcasts, and and guest speakers as well, who come in and talk to our savvy teens and various different things. So there's 3 books that have really helped me in this regard. One of them is, and this is what triggered the start of this, is called The Decision Maker. I read that when I was over in the States with the client earlier on in the summer, and that was what started it. Actually was a real intrigue at how decisions are made and decisions are made well, but also how to drive them down through the business. Over the years, I have become much better at delegating tasks and delegating projects and delegating responsibility for them. But you know what actually really makes a difference is helping other people in the business to become better decision makers, to hold them accountable to their decisions, not just to things that happened, but to the decisions that led to those in the first place. And The Decision Maker is a fable, actually, so it's a business story written about this skill. The second one is called Thinking in Bets by Annie Jukes, recommended to me by the late, great David Paul. A great book as well, just about how you really think about making decisions in the first place, it's giving a decision framework to do that, and then also to when those frameworks become innate, how you can make decisions better and faster and with more accountability. And the third book is actually one that I picked up recently in an airport, and it's called 50 Ways to Make Better Decisions. So 50 different models to do that. And again, it's a very simple book. It's one that you can read on a flight, like an hour and a half sort of a flight, but one again that's very, very helpful. So I don't know if that's of any help to you, but there are ways to build on the skills that we sometimes think that other people have just them cracked. And that brings me on to my fourth point about the power of reading. It's something that I always say I like to do, and I really, really do. What I don't like to do is necessarily read about business on weekends, because I take my weekends off and they're sacrosanct. So that sometimes presents a challenge to me then, is that like, well, where do I find the time to read if I want to take time off at the weekend, and yet there's so much happening during the week that I have to work on. So that's been something I've really taken the pleasure of doing over this particular trip, but also in different pockets along the way. But when I listened to How to Win Friends and Influence People as an audiobook when I was driving, much earlier on in the year, and I've been reading Atomic Habits. Now, there are some of the more well-known ones, of course, that people will know. There's lots of other non-well-known ones that I read as well, particularly when I'm interviewing people, when I'm emceeing at a conference. I'll often, and if they've written a book, I'll often read the book or listen to the book as well, and that's another way in which that I weave in reading, because I know it's good for me and I know I love to do it, but I don't necessarily find a natural time to do it. But certainly I just think reading is like getting an insight into other people's wisdom for free. I know there's the price of the book, but you know what I mean, for free. And the phrase, if somebody empties their purse into their head, they cannot be robbed. I think there's so much merit to that. The fifth one is something I've been really thinking about while I've been out here. A lot of unexpected things have happened to me while I've been out here in Australia. Just different things that I didn't anticipate happening at all. And I was having a chat with Thre Blair, who I've met through the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Centre. I was talking to her about this yesterday over a glass of wine in Sydney, and I was just asking, how do we let that relaxed nature of holidays, how do we let that just happen other times when we're not on holiday? And she said, "Oh, Susan, it's so easy. Just talk about what you're passionate about." And she said, for the like of you and me, that's our business, and let serendipity do its thing. But it is something that I would summarize in a different way myself, and that is that we often try and we plan, particularly this time of year where we're planning for reviewing the year and planning for our 2024 goals, etc. Is that there's so much that the universe is doing, or whether it's the universe you say, or whether it's other people around us, or whatever term you want to use for it, that is already working in your favor. And actually, perhaps simply trusting in that is what we do in holidays, because we're switched off, or switched off most of the time anyway, from what we're doing usually at home. And that is it. Just let serendipity do its thing as well, and trust that a lot of good things are conspiring around you to help you out along the way. Number 6, I just want to very briefly say, is that exercise. I know my husband sees this, he'll say, "Oh really? I've been telling you this for years," but I'm certainly fitter this time than I was 10 years ago, and I hope I'll be able to say the same in 10 years time again. Is that, as they say, if exercise was something that we could buy in a shop, we'd be buying it in bucketfuls. I subscribed to a dance gym, and I was out here and I was dancing every day, and if I wasn't dancing every day, well then I was out for a good walk every day, and of course we just all feel the better of it. So this is more a reminder for me to keep believing what I say in that regard. Another thing is just the power of what other people can teach you. And one of our savvy teens put a quote up on a LinkedIn question that we put a while ago, and it's made me think since, and that is, one day or day one. I'll let you think about that. Is today one day, or is it day one of a journey? And also aligned to that theme is the curiosity that you can have in other people's perspectives. Diversity is hard. It's hard because we like when people may agree with us, or where it's easy to connect and identify with other people. But a lot of the time, it's not easy if people have very different perspectives. But there's a beauty to that. And I know we talk an awful lot about diversity and inclusion today, but I think it's important just to acknowledge that it's hard. it's hard because when you're trying to constantly, line up your views or see your work practice against other people, but it's worth it. It's really, really, it's worth it, because that is where you can really see the world for what it is. The last thing I want to say is about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Last week, my cousin, who was so in tune with the outdoors, he picked up a lizard and he put it in front of me, and I was touching it, and then I just said, feel the fear and do it anyway, and I heard other people repeat it after me.